Welcome back to this Live Day Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. With me, I have Professor Bola Akintenewa, Director General, Bolitag Center for International Diplomacy and Strategic Studies, Professor David Aworawo, Professor of International Relations and Strategic Studies at the University of Lagos, Nigeria, and Yemi Adamolekun, Executive Director in Office now. Well, we have had three very interesting guests. The Commissioner in charge of voter education of INEC, ahead of the now postponed gubernatorial and House of Assembly elections. Dr. Femi Okeosonyitolu, in charge of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, talking about train colliding with bus colliding with a train, with 6 persons dead and 84 injured in Lagos, and containers falling off, like slippery objects of the back of trucks, of trailers in the Lagos metropolis in 3 different places on Friday. And then the spokesperson of the National Population Commission talking about the NPC, National Population Commission of Nigeria, being ready to spend 869 billion of taxpayers' money to conduct census 17 years after the last one was conducted, and how the NPC is promising us that this will be technology-driven, digital-driven, and how prepared that they are. Well, what is the wisdom in having a census almost immediately after a very contentious general election? Well, let me start with you, Yemi Adamolekun. I know you probably want to address the election conundrum.
Well, actually, before election, I'll start with NPC.
Okay.
I think, and it's tied to elections, I think it's critical to have reviewed INEC's processes and what went wrong with INEC's technology, quote and unquote, before we're allowed to have a census in this country. Especially given your point that NPC is shouting or quite eager to say that we're going to use a digital process to have our census. And I think we shouldn't take it for granted that it would work. The same lessons we've learned from INEC. What's the technology platform? Is it been tested? Who's using it? Who designed it? How is it meant to work? For census that's supposed to start on March 29th, that they haven't started talking to Nigerians about it, and which is why I like your question, is this going to be postponed? And I think we should postpone it, certainly. Even though to your, I guess, larger question, should we even have it this year at all? But anyway, and I haven't said that, your conversation with Festus Okoye I found very interesting. For an agency that's trying to, or well, should be trying to rebuild trust with Nigerians, given what happened 2 weeks ago and what has happened in the interim, I don't think he did a very good job. I found his answers a bit evasive, and he wasn't, the posture of INEC that I read is that we will do what we are asked to do. We're not going to go out of our way to try and make everybody feel comfortable, to try and educate, to be proactive about carrying Nigerians along on this journey. Before elections, very vocal about we have done this, we will do this, we will do this. Now elections have happened, now more or less silent and only speaking when they're kind of forced to, or not being proactive about taking Nigerians along. And I think that's very unfortunate. Based on INEC's promises pre-elections, there was a lot of faith in the process, and Nigerians believed that we would have a free, fair, and credible election that was transparent, leveraging on technology. That hasn't happened in phase 1, but INEC is not being intentional about rebuilding trust in the process itself, and we have elections next weekend. One of the things Mr. Okoye said, given your question around PDP and Labour saying that they're being blocked from accessing information, is to say that the political parties need to send lawyers that know about the Electoral Act so they know where to go and what questions or, excuse me, what documents they should be asking from what office. I thought that was very unnecessary. If you put the political parties in a room and take them through the process, that, okay, this thing has gone to court, the 3 of you want access to our documents, this is what this is what it does. This is what this is what it does. If you need this, this is how it happens. Then it makes the process a lot easier for everybody because there's clarity around what is needed and where that data is. You then ask the question again around reconfiguring the BVAS. And Mr. Okoye went from talking about reconfiguring to resetting, whereas the language that the commission itself had been using was reconfiguring. And he then said, oh, no, we're not reconfiguring. We're just resetting dates and we're resetting time that it's supposed to work. Again, another classic example. It would have been nice for Nigerians to know what exactly does this reconfiguring entail. Because part of the concern is that in the process of reconfiguring, you're deleting data or data might go missing. So no, when we reconfigure, this is what we do. Now, fair enough as well. If you also promise us that in backing up data in your reconfiguring process, it's fine, how are Nigerians assured that the same we will back it up and it will be fine is not we will upload to IREV and you can see? It is INEC's job to ensure that they explain this thing in such a way that Nigerians have faith in the process. It's all over social media that INEC is using Amazon servers. So maybe get someone from Amazon to come and explain how their servers work, so people are clear about it. You talked about IT experts, and he nicely dodged it by saying he's not an IT expert, which is fair because he's not. But it would be good to know what the IT components of these things are, so when you're talking about it, people believe you. And then lastly, technical glitches. He referenced that again and said, oh, we've been told by in-house technicians that we've solved the technical glitches and it won't happen again. What exactly does that mean? What was the technical glitch? In some cases, we said National Assembly elections results could be uploaded, but the presidential could not be uploaded. What is that technical glitch, for example? Why did it work for a while and then shut down? It was shut down. Nobody shut it down. So I think, in summary, I don't think INEC is helping itself, because if Nigerians, we're already in a low trust environment when it comes to government agencies. By the actions 2 weeks ago, the trust is even eroded even further. INEC has the responsibility to rebuild that trust, and it's absolutely not doing a good job. And then the last point around the 2 people who went to court to be allowed to vote without their permanent voters' cards. You are quite right. I mean, I was on the show at some point a couple of weeks ago talking about how a lot of people couldn't get their cards based on INEC's inefficiency. So these guys have gone to court. They've gotten judgment. INEC has made a big deal out of no PVC, no voting. But we know from 2 weekends ago that people did vote without their PVC. And then you ask them the question that people did that, what would happen? Again, he evaded it. He just said, no, without PVC, you can't vote. No, people voted without their PVC. And so saying that they should check the accreditation data doesn't solve that problem. What is INEC doing about it? Is anybody being sanctioned? How does that work in this whole ecosystem of you need your PVC to vote, but your same officials are allowing people to vote without their PVC? What does that look like? So it is really quite unfortunate that INEC is not stepping up to plate to encourage Nigerians and rebuild trust in the system ahead of next weekend's elections.
Well, thank you, Yemi. Professor Aworawo, your take.
Yeah, I will just take it from where Yemi stopped. I don't think INEC realizes the enormity of the importance of their duty, their assignment. When elections are not well conducted, when there are doubts as to whether the results reflect, the pattern of voting, there's a whole lot that goes wrong. One, people would not trust the system. Now INEC is not trusted. Two, a winner emerges and there is this feeling of, did he really win? You know, the issue of credibility now comes in, the issue of trust now comes in, and all that. So what Mr. Okoye said, in response to your many questions, does not give any room for optimism that things will be a lot better in the next election. Well, after the presidential and, Bola Tinubu was declared winner, people began to speak of the triumph of Jagabanism. Jagabanism explained to me political realism or even Machiavellianism, the approach, to politics where everything is used to gain and secure power. But I was thinking that Jagabanism should be, an approach where an individual uses fair means and legal means to gain power. INEC would have helped. If the elections were free, fair, they did what, they promised, it would have helped for us to establish, who Nigerians voted for And, that will confer legitimacy on the mandate. So INEC does not seem to understand and appreciate the enormity of the importance of his assignment. And we still have a couple of days to the governorship election. I hope they will be able to, do better than all these things we are hearing that are not specific. Take, for instance, the question regarding people voting without PVC. How was it supposed to be possible for somebody to vote without PVC, given the way the structure of the election is supposed to be? But it is confirmed that people voted without PVCs. And several other things that, of course, INEC has admitted that a whole lot went wrong. They didn't do quite well, in the course of the election. So my take to all of what Okoye said is that they should go back and see how they will be able to improve tremendously on their performance on the 25th. The other two issues...
Well, before you go to the other issues, sorry, I have to interrupt you. We have Sheito Atigani and Nkechi Nana right there in Los Angeles at the Academy Awards, popularly known as the Oscars, which is set to hold today, Sunday, in Dolby Theater in Los Angeles, United States. Winners of different categories are given a copy of a golden statuette known as a trophy, officially called the Academy Award of Merit. As the world prepares for the 95th edition of the Oscar Academy Awards, Arise News is also on the ground to bring you blow-by-blow accounts as events unfold. Joining us now from the Oscars venue to give us situation report, our Arise correspondent Sheito Atigani and Nkechi Nana. Hello Nkechi, hello Sheito. Well, how is it going at that end? What should we expect today? What is the mood where you are?
Dr. Ruben.
What is the mood there? I see you are already dressed for the big event.
There, but it's bright and early here in Los Angeles. Of course, the mood... Yes, we are dressed and ready for the big event. It's the morning of the 95th Academy Awards. And of course, you can see the buzz in the environment. We're here early. All the journalists are here getting ready. The champagne carpet is looking radiant this morning. Nkechi.
Yes, Dr. Ruben, as you can see behind us, and I'm sure you can hear the noise, they're still putting in final touches before the A-list celebrities come. Sheito and I are B-list celebrities. That's why we're here super early. The champagne carpet actually turned out nice. It's not giving that red carpet glitz and glamour, but it's clean, it's crisp. All the media is setting up, just getting ready to watch the celebrities strut their stuff into the Dolby Theater. And what to expect today, Dr. Ruben, is just a lot of honoring of the movie industry throughout the past year.
Definitely.
Well, let's talk about your predictions regarding some of the biggest categories, starting with Best Picture. And the Best Picture is likely to go to...
Best Picture is one of the biggest awards of the night, isn't it, Nkechi? And this year we have 10...
The Best Picture is likely to go... Should we do 1, 2, 3, everything, everywhere, all at once?
Now we have to say this, all at once has a winning streak. It's won a Golden Globe, of course, and now we're looking at that movie having one of the highest nominations, about 11, and Best Picture is definitely one of the top.
It's the leading. People don't like to say this, but it's the leading category of the night. Another big contender that I think people have been overlooking actually is Steven Spielberg's Fabelmans. That movie might actually take Best Picture it might struggle with Everything Everywhere All at Once.
And to add to that, of course, Steven Spielberg is not a visitor to walking away with the golden statue.
Exactly.
So
it's his 20th nomination this year at the Oscars. And for the Best Picture, you also have First Timers. It's the first time that you have a sequel being nominated in that category. That's Top Gun, Maverick, and Avatar: The Way of the Water. However, Sheito and I were predicting Everything Everywhere All at Once. Quote us on that, Dr. Ruben.
Okay, let's see what happens. But how about Best Actor and Best Actress? Your picks.
All right, then if we're starting from a Best Actress, of course, we have Michelle Yeoh from the same movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. We have Kate Blanchett, of course, from Tar, and we have in case you want to help.
We have Andrea Riseborough as well in that category, and then we have Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans. However, that category might go to Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh is a fan favorite.
Yes.
She's making history this year, being the first Asian woman to be nominated in that category. She snagged up the Best Actress award at the SAG Awards, and it's just looking like that award might go to her. And this year is such a big year for the Asian community. You also have Ki Hugh Kwan, who's nominated for that same movie for Best Supporting Actor, and he might get that. And when you're looking at Best Actor, listen, my favorite is Austin Butler playing Elvis in that musical biopic. However, I'm a little bit biased towards Brendan Fraser because he took a break. He had health issues, he had personal issues, so he took a break from Hollywood and then comes back with this big bang playing a morbidly obese man in The Will. It was a challenging, physically challenging role, and I mean, I'd love to see him win. I'd love to see anyone in that category Best Actor win, because all of them, they're all first timers, and so any of them that takes it, I'll be happy with it.
Well, I mean, I've read stories saying that this particular Oscar 2023 is special for India. India has 3 major actors, on the list. They have 3 major musicians also performing. Okay, that looks good for diversity. But where is Africa? Any chance that Africa could show up, either to come and sing and, also perhaps win a prize in the Best International Feature category? If you could just talk about Africa in relation to diversity.
Well, definitely.
I mean, I like that you mentioned that. But in the Best International Feature, there's no movie from Africa. There's movies from Germany, Ireland, and Argentina as well. And it's the first time for Ireland. But when you talk about Africa, and even specifically to Nigeria, we have our own Dearest Thames, who co-wrote that song, Lift Me Up, with Rihanna.
And I think it's just important to point, when you're talking about the international film category, that even last year when the Oscar nominations went out, we did have this pushback from the Nigerian Official Selection Committee that came out to say that for the second year in a row, there was no Nigerian movie that was able to make the cutoff, make of the cutoff marks, or I would say, to the international film category. But to agree with you, Dr. Ruben, when you're looking at India, one of their biggest films, is the RRR, what people would refer to as and there's a very particular, I like that, and there's a song on there called Natu Natu that is a catchy musical number, which is also going to be performed tonight by the singers. And if you're still talking about entertainment, the song that Thames was nominated for, Lift Me Up, will be performed tonight by a very pregnant Rihanna, who has been on hiatus but is back, and I'm sure is going to kill her performance this evening.
Let me just ask you again, still with regard to predictions. Best Director, what would be your prediction?
Yes.
All right, Best Director. This is a very interesting. Listen, wait, I just want to say something. I'm quite upset about this category this year because there's no woman on that list, and it's not like there weren't any movies that were made by women that could really contend on that list. I mean, you have Women Talking, directed by Sarah Polley, which I personally think should have been on that list. And when you look at 2 years ago, you had Chloe Zhao, who took it for Nomadland, and then last year you had Jane Campion for Power of the Dog. And so that category really, I would say Steven Spielberg, just because he's a veteran. It will be his 3rd best directing nod, or the Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once, just because that movie, when you look at it, it's not a typical clickbait Oscar movie. It's an indie movie. They have a diverse diverse cast. Actually, it didn't premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. In fact, none of the actors even thought they would make it to the Oscars. They were just doing their job. And here they are. And so Steven Spielberg or the Daniels, really. But however, I would have loved to see a woman on that category.
Thank you very much, Nkechi. Thank you also, Shaitan. Well, have fun. Enjoy yourself. Apart from work, yeah, also supposed to have fun. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, we'll come back to the studio here. I don't know whether there's any movie aficionado here, but before then, let me come back to you, Professor Aworawo, so that you were going to comment on, I guess, census next. Yes. I was going to comment on census. Please go ahead.
Well, again, the popular opinion is that the census should be postponed. That, in fact, should have had a different year, not this year, but since they have already sketched out their plans to hold it this year, let them postpone it so that they can have enough time to prepare very well. Since they want to leverage on technology, they should master the technology very well. They should not do trial and error. And at the end of the day, it will be like other censuses we had in the past that were dogged by controversies and they had to be cancelled and all that. The amount invested in this on this census is so much, 869 billion. By the way, the guest was wrong in saying it's 2% of the budget. 869 billion is not 2% of the budget. It's way off, so around 8, up close to 10% of the budget, not 2% of the budget. It's a huge sum of money, which is why they need to plan very well, test the technology very well, and ensure that the technology works as sketched out so that we can have good value for money. We need sensors to plan, we need sensors for a whole lot of things. So it's a good thing to do. It's just the fact that, Nigeria is cash-strapped and the timing too, but they can postpone and do so that we can have a census, figures that will reflect how many we are, not ones that are subject to, speculation, conjecture, and even those who conduct the census are not even sure of whether the figures they've come up with reflect how many we are as Nigerians. Then finally, Mr. Oshointolu's presentation, if we take away the politics that he tried to focus on so intensely, yes, the LASEMA they are doing a good job. Like I told him privately that their job would have been lighter if people are, conscious of doing things right, being patient and all. Like you rightly pointed out, the truck, the bus that ran into the rail line didn't have to. All you needed to do just to wait a few minutes and the train will pass and it will go. But this idea of, it must not be me who will stop. It must be the bus, or the car behind me. That is the kind of attitude we want to change. And regarding the what's it called, the containers that are falling, I don't know what the government needs to do more than what they have done, because we can't continue like this. Everywhere in the world, containers are lashed. In Nigeria, they are not. They keep falling and causing all sorts of problem. That is also another area, not just by saying, it won't happen again. You have to do something to ensure that it doesn't happen again. Those are things we need so that we can have a sane and decent society.
Any comment on the Oscars, the Academy Awards?
Well, yes. The only side that I would like to comment on has to do with Africa. Africa's involvement, Africa's participation. For a long time, this issue of diversity has been commented on. And the organizers try to, make some changes here and there to ensure that there is some diversity. But Africa is still absent. I will not blame the organizers as such. I think we are the ones who need to step up. Nollywood, we understand, does more film than any other of the woods. But the problem is quality. Quality, well thought out ideas that a film will build around, and then the quality of what is produced, the picture, the plot, the direct, all aspects of it. These are the things that carry films to us to win Oscar. If we continue to do in the mediocre fashion that many of these film producers here do, we'll never get there. Those are my thoughts on that.
Just to add to that, I think there was some controversy, as I think Sheito or maybe you alluded to, about Nigeria not making the cutoff. But I think the controversy was also around how that was interpreted locally, because the Oscars sort of disaggregated submissions. So it wasn't the Oscars or the academic, whatever, the society.
An Oscar award committee
exactly,
Nigeria,
per country. So it's the country that puts forward. And there was some controversy around how the Nigerian committee decided on what was worthy of being put forward. And I mean, I don't remember the details, but there were issues with how that was classified. And there was also some politicking involved in that. Yeah, and if we put movies forward on their merit, I think we would, if we had put the movies available forward on their merit, I don't think we'll be having this conversation.
Well, Professor Akintenewa, all of these issues on the table, your take?
On Oscars, I'm particularly happy with the presence of Arise News journalists, meaning now that we are being fed with information directly. So this is of importance. Dr.
Arise News goes to the Oscars every year. So this is not the first time. We're always there.
That is what I am saying, that now we are not relying on CNN or Agence France Presse all along. We are relying directly on our own. Arise TV is significant in its steps. Yes. So now, Professor Aworawo did not think that the INEC chairman is good enough to know that he has enormity, quote unquote, of responsibilities. I think, contrary to the position of my brother, if you think that the INEC chairman does not know, I don't share that sentiment. INEC has its own focus. INEC has its own agenda. It is the end, the ultimate objective that will define the means to put in place. So I want to subscribe to the argument that the INEC chairman is very knowledgeable, is a professor for that matter. If you say a professor will not be able to know his left from his right, then that would be most unfortunate. But as a professor, what does he want to profess electorally? What does he want to profess in terms of organizing election? This is where the issue is. You see, let's link this one up to Dr. Festus Okoye. I like the way many of these guests that are coming here representing government, the way they argue. I like them. Very evasive. They don't answer questions. Now the first question you asked Festus Okoye. Now he was saying that there were many challenges. INEC has now taken steps to address them and so on and so forth. And for me as a student, you now want me now to believe that because you have addressed the challenges, then the commitment, the sincerity of purpose, the honesty of purpose will be there. No! We cannot, on the basis of the environmental challenges, believe that if the boss, if the INEC chairman himself pledged, promised, heaven and earth, that BVAS will be a game changer, that results will be uploaded at the polling units. And we have seen now that it is far from that. Please, for God's sake, one can be foolish, and it can be good to be foolish. But foolishness without limit, that is where the problem is. We need to reflect on that. So in this case, I don't believe in that. And let me tell you that the question asked by Dr. Abati as to when, for instance, either the census will hold or will not hold at a particular time, what answer did he give? Now the issue is that May 3rd has been circulated. What did he say? He's hiding under non-approval, that when there will be approval, he will be able to answer. So this time, he doesn't know which answer to give. Ditto for Festus Okoye, I am arguing here that come March 18 for the gubernatorial and state assembly elections, there will not be uploading of results in the polling units. I am saying it again.
You don't think they'll do it?
No, because based on the arguments given us, deductive analysis will tell you. What did he say? Dr. Abati pointedly asked the first time, and he came back to it the second time, and the response was still the same, but changing the expressions.
They said all will be well.
No, there's nothing.
Doesn't believe all will be well.
No, yes, because let me tell you the arguments they gave in both cases. He said the INEC has taken steps. I noted that. What are these steps?
We don't know.
The second point, he said that we have accreditation. All right, you have the stage. He gave us the 3 stages of
the BVAS machine.
The BVAS machine, and told us that look, the first and the second stages went well. They didn't touch that. That what they only try to do now is just to change the date, the time, particulars about the voter. Meaning now that the BVAS that was used to perform, to rig elections will still be there. He has not done that. So for me as an observer, I take notes, not just for something, so that I will be able to refer it. He said no problem with the first stage, no problem with the second stage, and what they are trying to do for the third something is what they are now capitalizing on. And that one does not have anything to do with that. Let me tell you, all these environmental challenges they are talking about, they do not have anything to do with the complete disregard for constitutional provisions. They didn't comply with that. So if the INEC chairman himself refused consciously to disregard, constitutional provision, why are you now coming to come and preach to me that that will be true? Finally, on the bus and the train, please, in a state, Lagos, described as a state of excellence, if you look at all the data there, I can tell you that there are 3 levels of guilt. The Lagos state government carrying more than all others, 90%. Those who sat in front of the bus will follow. The third will not be the driver, and perhaps more significantly, all the passengers. When you are in a bus and the driver is driving recklessly, having earpiece, all right, the sound of the train, he is not listening, and the Lagos state government will not sanction them. Then will not come here to be analyzing. No, please.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Akintenewa. Thank you, Professor Aworawo, and thank you, Yemi Adamolekun. And just before we go, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, otherwise known as INEC, has been warning Nigerians that the rainy season is here, and that there will be thunderstorms, there will be flooding, and that everyone should just take precaution. And we hope that this year we will not get the same excuses about flooding, about Ministry of Environment giving excuses, Ministry of Physical Planning blaming landlords, building on drainage and all that. That's the usual ritual every year. But in any case, we'll see how that, pans out. But everyone should just be on guard. You've been watching This Day Live, the Sunday talk show, here on Arise News. I'm Ruben Abati. From our entire team here in Lagos, it is bye for now, and thank you very much for watching.